In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how you can use Audacity to create your own audio recordings. It's a nice tool to be able to edit files. You can also import files from different sources. And so I'm just going to show you a variety of basic editing things that can be done in Audacity. First thing, after you open up Audacity and you're going to use it for the first time, it's good to just kind of check to see your defaults are probably like mine are, but the volume basically is turned up so that I can hear the files as I work with them, and then my microphone is active. And I'm just using an internal mic on my laptop and it works well. Sometimes you might have a headset with a microphone that you get better recordings from. There's a couple different tools that I'm going to show you here. If I wanted to record a file, and I'm just going to record as I'm talking here, I would click over here on the record button, and it's going to go through and it's basically recording everything that I say. If you stumble over your words, you don't have to worry about that. You can keep going and go back and edit out any problems that you might have. But you do have the capability to start and stop. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, and then I can use my select tool and I can scroll back over to the beginning of my audio clip. I can click at the beginning, and of course I can hit the play and I can listen to what and go back and edit out any stop that. Gives me a good indication of the different, as I'm talking, you can see the different levels, and you can see how many seconds I recorded. I recorded about 18 seconds. You can listen to it. If it's perfect, you're good to go, and it could be exported out of Audacity and put into PowerPoint or Flash or whatever application you want to use it in. Most of the time though, you may have some little things that you want to fix. So it's real easy to go in, and let's say here at the end of the clip I listened to it and I've got some dead air at the end that I wanted to get rid of. I can go in and I can highlight it, and I can hit my delete key, and I can basically get rid of content that I don't want. If it's something in the middle of the clip, and again I'm not listening to it here, I'm just showing you how as you go through it, if there's a part in your clip, maybe you stumbled over some words and you started over again, you can go and edit out the parts that you don't want. So at any point in your clip you can go through and do some editing in that. As you decide to maybe add more content to your audio file, it's usually good to try to remember to click at the end where you ended, and then I could go and I could start recording again, and it's going to start recording another track as I'm talking. I can go back and I can hit stop, and I've got the two tracks, the first file that I started to record and then where I picked up. You'll notice here there's a little bit of overlap. Sometimes you want that. Maybe you've got music playing lightly in the background and you've got an audio where somebody's talking. In this case, since it's me talking in both clips, I might want to use this time shift tool. I can come over here and I can drag that over so that those clips don't overlap. So you've got the capability to use your selection tool to select parts of your file, to possibly edit it out, and we just did some basic editing, and then your time shift. Again, sometimes you go back and forth. I click my selection tool. I'm going to go to the end of this clip, and then I'm going to start recording again. So you'll see I've got a third audio file that's basically part of my clip here. I'll go ahead and hit stop, and again I could use my time shift if I felt like there's a little bit of an overlap. I can make adjustments there. Now I've got three different tracks. If I went back and I played it, the one clip will start and end, then the second one starts, and then the third one starts. And when you're doing recording, you want to make sure that you're recording in a quiet background, don't have a lot of interruptions. If you're going to use the clip and have different parts of it, sometimes it's best to try to do those all at the same time. Some days you have a cold, the other day you don't, so your voice can sound different from day to day, and sometimes your settings get changed on your computer. So if you're working on a project, if you're able to continue on and finish with it, sometimes that's the best way to go. But I've got those three tracks, and what we want to do, it gets kind of complicated to try to see where I'm at with things. So as you work, maybe you've got 2 tracks and you want to make them into one, or you've got 3 and I want to make them into one. I can come over here on the left and I can click, and then I can press my shift key, click the next one. I'm going to scroll down and then I'll click my 3rd one. And I found I have to use the shift key. The control key doesn't really work as we're going from track to track. I could go to my tracks then, and there's a feature called mix and render. I'll click on that, and it's going to take and it's going to make those 3 tracks then into one. So sometimes, you know, again, you've got a lot of tracks. That might be what you want to do to be able to track things a little bit better. There's a lot of features on the effect ribbon or the drop-down menu. You know, it's just a matter of experimenting with things. If you go to the help screen, you can go out to Audacity's website, and they have good tutorials and information on some of these. One that I've used some with projects that I've worked on is the fade in and fade out. Whoops, I'm going to undo that. And what happened there is my whole thing is selected. I might want to use my selection tool and select some information at the beginning, and maybe I want to go in and I want to you know, fade out the track or fade in the track. It depends on, you know, where you're at, if you're at the beginning or the end. But that would be good sometimes if you've got some music playing at the beginning and then you want to fade it out and go into the audio of somebody talking. So some good things there. The key, as I just kind of made a mistake, you could see the whole, you could select the whole track or just select the part of the track that you want to apply the effect to. So that's available. Also on your file menu, there's times that you want to pull an external file into Audacity. So you can go to File and Import, and I'll go to Audio. And there's times that you've been out on the internet, maybe you found some sound files, or you have some sound files, maybe some music that you want to incorporate into a project that you're working on. Maybe the music, you want to edit out part of it. So it isn't where you have to record all your own sound files. So I could go to where I have my sound files stored. I'm just going to look here real quick at the different audio formats that are compatible with Audacity. A lot of times if you find something on the internet, it might be in WAV format, or you've got a iPod or whatever, or an MP3 player, you maybe have files that are in MP3 format. So you just have to look to make sure the format is going to be compatible with the Audacity software. So if I wanted to pull this sound file in, I can double click it, and it's going to pull it into a different track. Now if I want this sound clip to play first and then this one to play second, I can use my time shift tool and I can drag this over so that I've got this track playing and then this track playing. I can use my shift key to select both of those tracks right here, and I go to tracks and I do mix and render if I wanted to pull those together. And so I've got some my sound bite at the beginning, followed by my sound file that I created in 3 different sections. And of course I'm not listening to it as I'm recording this tutorial, but that would be something you'd listen and go back and forth through it and do some editing. I found the best way is just you know, get past the jitters of talking and just record. If you make a mistake, start over again. You know, you can kind of keep going and you can edit out the parts that maybe aren't working for you. As you work on things, you want to click on File, and we would do a Save Project As. That's going to save it as an Audacity project, an AUP. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And you just decide where you want to save your files and what you want to call it. I'll just call it Practice Recording. And this would be a file. It's an AUP format that, you know, it isn't in the format that it's in. You can't put it into PowerPoint or into Flash or into a website. It needs to, this is the format that it would be in if you wanted to come back and work on it later and make some changes to it. If you're done with your recording, you're done with your editing, and you want to actually use it, let's say in a PowerPoint project or in a different application, we can go to File, we can go to Export, and when you come into the Export dialog box, there's, I believe it defaults to WAV format, which again, it's just a compatibility, is what format does the file need to be in for you to be able to use it in a different software application. WAV works in PowerPoint, it works in Flash, it works in a lot of different applications, so that default works well. It picks up the same name that I had before, practice recording. So I'll have two files. I'll have my Audacity file that I could go back and change later, and then I'll have my exported WAV file that could be pulled into a different application. And I could go ahead and hit save. When you do that, it pulls up a dialog box that allows you to add properties to the file, your name, the tracks. You know, a lot of times that isn't maybe necessary if it's just you're trying to do a little editing to pull into a project that you're working on. So I usually don't go through and fill in the blanks here, but a person could. And go ahead and do OK. And it's that quick. It'll go out, and in the folder that I was working in, it created let's see if I can find it here. Here's the Audacity file. Notice when I mouse over it, it says Audacity project file, and here's the WAV file that I just created. So this is the file that I would actually need to use to put into a project that I was working on. So there we've got, you know, the basics of Audacity. There's a lot more to it than that. Again, on your help screen, if you go out, there's some information on their website. I like to use it because there's some applications that you can't record in, and then others where you can do some editing, but maybe it's more efficient to do your editing in an application that is set up to do editing. So the tools that we use a lot in here is the selection tool and the time shift tool. We went in and looked at how you can do your tracks. You can do a file import to pull external files in. And then, of course, when you're done with your project, you've got to go in and you've got to export it.